Today I want to talk about right speech. Recently we've been talking about accountability and on the flip side of that, on dropping our ego. So I wanted to really revisit right speech as a piece of accountability or as a way of really staying in right relationship with each other. And I thought I want to phrase it I want to teach it on it in this way. So I'd like to open with one of the koans. It's when you meet a person of the way. Gosul said, when you meet a person of the way on the path, do not meet them with words or silence. Tell me, how will you meet them? When you meet a person of the way on the path, do not meet them with words or silence. Tell me, how will you meet them? This is the question for the day. Without words or silence, how will we meet each other? Today I want to talk about words first, at least, and the way that we speak to each other and the teachings on right speech, which come up in many different places in the classic teachings. They're very fundamental teaching from the Buddha and something we can learn as a foundation of our practice. So, as we all know, speech is very powerful. We might not think so, but if you really consider it, speech, the things that leave our mouth, which are the expressions of our thoughts, really has an effect on the world around us. Not just on others, but on ourselves and on the environment in which we live. And because we contribute to this world through our mouth and through the sound coming out of our mouth, it's a world that we co-create with others. And it's a world that we can, with intention, co-create with others in a way that is either beneficial or harmful. So what I'm saying is, with intention and with our practice, we choose. What kind of a world do we want to live in? Speech is a significant factor in this. Speech is the way we verbalize our mind. It's a very, very powerful gate of expression. Yangtze Rinpoche, a Tibetan teacher that I worked with in Oregon, quoted this Tibetan expression. So often in English we have the expression, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And Yangtze Rinpoche thought that was ridiculous. He was like, no, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will turn me inside out. I don't remember the exact expression, but sticks and stones hurt our body, but words have the power to break everything. The words are so much more harmful than sticks and stones. So when we flip it this way, we start to really understand the power that our words have on others and on ourselves. If we're not mindful of the way that we use speech, if we're not careful, and if we don't bring in intention into how we want to be in this world, then we can hurt so many people so easily. I don't think it's not a big stretch to see how this happens. The reason that right speech is so much on my mind this week is we, as many of you know, this week we saw the death of a radio personality who reached a lot of people, 15 million followers on the radio through his voice. His name was Rush Limbaugh, and he died this week of cancer. So at his death, people were struggling with how to express their feelings about the things that he had said. And this played out in a lot of different ways. So it became a question of, do we speak ill of him now? What is speaking ill of him? Is speaking the truth speaking ill of him? Is just speaking ill of him? And because he's died, should we then be quiet? So I was thinking of this in relation to the principles of right speech, because we don't have to make stuff up. We have guides. And if we follow these guides, which come down to us through 2,600 years of teachings and have been tried out, then we can start to formulate our own action plan. And when I say formulate our own action plan, what I'm encouraging you to do is not simply to follow the guides, but to follow them and really ingest them and try them out on your own and see how it goes. If we practice the rules of right speech, and with still having a lot of turmoil in our hearts, or still with a focus on me as the center of the world, then we're not really practicing right speech. So we have to balance, what comes out of our mouth with what's in our heart. And that's why I chose this koan for the day. When we meet a person of the way on the path, do not meet them with words or silence. Tell me, how will you meet them? I often say my teacher often teaches, when I bow to you, I bow to your Buddha nature. And when you bow to me, you bow to my Buddha nature. So beyond words and speech, we must connect. Speech is such a powerful form of connection between humans. So how are we going to use it really well? Because the possibility of misleading others or lying is always here. So we have to really work at it and try to counter that. So speech can be used in ways that are beneficial. For example, just to teach the teachings. This is how we express the Dharma, through speech. Even the Buddha's teachings, which are now written down, originally came through speech. And they continue through speech over generations and generations of practitioners. So words can be very powerful expression of the Dharma. They can bring us wisdom and knowledge. And this wisdom and knowledge gives us an ability to connect with each other, to reach across boundaries, and to experience true intimacy with each other and with the entire universe. So in this way, speech can be very, very powerfully beneficial. And on the other side, speech can easily cause harm, not just to others, but to ourselves. We've all experienced this. When we've spoken words that are sharp to somebody, we see them wince. We notice the pain that we cause. It is as if we have hit them. And when we cause that harm, we break the connection. We hurt our relationship with others, and thereby we hurt ourselves. We lose part of the support of the universe through the harm that we cause through speech. And this is something we saw coming up this week, and when people were referring to the harmful words caused by Rush Limbaugh when he spoke so ill of so many people over so long, he would often really pick on the most vulnerable in our society from a place of power, which is in many ways the most harmful ways we can hurt others. When we're speaking in disagreement with equals, it's not the same as when we are really denigrating people who have less power than us. It's an extreme abuse of our power and our ability to connect through words. So when speech is used to cause harm, it can convey misinformation, lies, confusion, and even violence. Again, we've all seen this very recently. The words that Donald Trump used to incite the crowd caused violence, caused death, caused harm. Even though he himself didn't raise his own hand to kill Brian Sicknick, his words killed. So in this way, speech can cause so much harm. And this is why, as practitioners, we have to be so careful not to contribute to that. How can we speak the truth in a way that doesn't cause harm? So some people want to approach this by saying, oh my goodness, I'm going to cause harm no matter what, so I better just not engage at all. I'm just going to run away. And in a way, that also causes harm. Not speaking up when it's appropriate to speak up can also cause harm. That passivity allows harm to take place. And if we have the ability to speak in a way that stops it, then not speaking causes harm. So it's very tricky. But fortunately, we have a guide. So if we can get ourselves out of the way, which we learn to do through our practice, right? As we sit zazen and watch our thoughts arise and pass, coming back to our breath, and really settle, we start to feel and intimately understand our interconnectedness with the entire universe. We know this in a way of knowing that is bodily, not out of our brain. And when we use speech that comes out of this deep knowing, this is when we can truly meet people. Beyond words, beyond silence. When we truly meet them, then we truly connect. We can use speech in a way that's beneficial, that really lifts up others, connects through the heart, cares for others. Or we can use speech in a way that's divisive. And if we're not quite sure where we are on this, then we have the guidelines. So I'd like to share those with you. The Buddha taught there are 5 conditions for right speech. Is it the right time? Timeliness is important. We might have the best intentions to speak with somebody, but if we speak with them at the wrong time, then we could accidentally cause harm. Or we could simply cause harm, because accidentally or not, the effect is that it caused harm. So consider whether it's the right time. So think about when you're angry, for example. When we have that flare of anger, we feel compelled to say something. Something's not right. Is this the right time? We know that our words are very powerful. So if we speak with anger, we could potentially really hurt someone. So as I've said many times, when we're angry, that's a great time to insert a pause. Just a couple of minutes at least, maybe longer. Let the anger still, and then after that, see what we need to say. Is it the right time to speak? Or, just very simply, if the person we want to speak with is on their way, leaving the house, on their way to work, that's not the right time either. There's no time for that. Or if it's right after their mother has died and we're angry at them about something that happened before, that's clearly the wrong time. So think about the right time. The timing is crucial. The second principle of right speech is it true? And this may seem really easy to understand, and perhaps it is very easy to understand, but truth is slippery. Sometimes we take truth and kind of push it a little bit in our own favor. I think we all do this. I noticed that I'm a human being, that I do this. But the way that I noticed was I was curious about how my voice changes when I'm in disagreement with somebody. So many years back, I recorded myself in a disagreement to see what I was doing. And, I didn't keep it. I just deleted it afterwards. But I wanted to see my own. I was observing myself in a way that I can't do when I'm engaged in it. It was very fascinating. I found, for one, that my voice went into a much higher pitch, as if I were a little kid. But the other thing that I noticed is that my memory of things afterwards had been really different from what was actually said. And my memory of things, of course, centered myself and really slanted the truth in my own favor. How many times do we all do this? Maybe every day. As long as we are in the middle, as long as our ego is in the middle, I think it's inevitable. We see things from our own perspective. But our practice allows us, again, to let go of our idea of me as a separate self and understand that we exist in relation to the entire universe. And in doing so, we can drop our ego and truly connect. And then allow the truth to very naturally arise. And where's the truth? Heart to heart. Buddha meets Buddha. This is the truth we need to know. So, second principle of right speech is it true? The third is, do we speak with words that are gentle or harsh? And we're encouraged to use words that are gentle. And that doesn't mean we have to get into this kind of insipid sweetness. We don't have to talk like this. That might enrage people even more. We just have to use a regular voice and not yell. And if we use a regular voice and not yell, of course, coming back to what I just said, we connect. Then we're connecting from the heart, then that voice comes out kindly. And if we're connecting from a place of me, then that voice can come out harsh. So do I speak gently or in a way that's harsh or aggressive? And I think we know that when we speak in a way that truly connects, then the other person can hear it much better. And isn't this our goal? Don't we want them to hear what we're saying? Or are we speaking only for our own benefit, just to hear my own voice? I don't know, that's the question I would ask you. So the third principle is to speak gently and without harshness or aggressiveness. The next is the speech beneficial or is it necessary? It's a really tricky, great question. We don't often think about that, because again, if we're coming from what I need to say, then maybe it feels beneficial to me, but is it beneficial to the situation? Is it beneficial to the person to whom we're speaking? And this can come in not just with conflict, but just with idle words. Well, when I was a child, I really, really, really hated it when people asked me, "How are you?" And what I hated was not that they asked, but it was that I could feel in my little kid, spidey sense that they didn't care about my answer, and that really bothered me. So when we ask, "How are you?" How are you? What are we doing? Are we really wanting to know how are you? Or are we just doing that as a way of passing the time or making a greeting? And I don't, it's not necessarily bad to use those words as just a way of touching and connecting. This is something that I also had to learn when I was in Indonesia many years ago. Every day I was on a little island, and every day I would take a walk around the island. I would circle it. And I would meet people on the path who lived there. And they would meet me and they would say, "Oh, Tengku, where are you going?" And I was like, "Why are y'all asking me where I'm going? It's none of your business." I felt so weird. And I was like, "Don't ask me that." And so I mentioned it to a friend that I had met there, and he was like, "Oh, Tengku, they're not asking you where you're going. They just want to greet you. They just want to tell you hello." And I was like, "Oh." So then I said, "Well, how am I supposed to answer that?" And he said, "You just say, 'Oh, just over there.'" So I tried it out. The next time someone met me and they said, "Tengku, where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, just down the road." And they said, "Oh, so nice to see you. So anyway, tell me more about your..." We got that. That was our way of meeting. So is speech beneficial? Don't be too quick to judge. And consider it. Asking the question leads us to a deeper understanding. Is it beneficial? And finally, the fifth principle of right speech is, do we speak with a kind heart and with goodwill for the other? Again, Buddha meeting Buddha. Do we speak with kindness and with goodwill? People feel it. If we don't, like I mentioned, when I was a child, I felt it. People really feel if we want to connect, even if our words don't come out quite right. We know if the intention behind them is with goodwill or not. And even if we can't articulate it, I think we feel it in our bodies. And the more we practice, the more clearly we feel this. So just to repeat, 5 principles of right speech. Is it the right time? Is it true? Do I speak with kindness and gentleness? Is it necessary? And do I speak with goodwill? Basic guidelines, right? So the way that we move about the world, the way that we interact with the world is very much influenced by the way that we speak. If we lie, then people meet us with lies and they don't trust us. And when we lie, we start to create this habit of a tendency to lie, right? And then that becomes our way of interacting and pushes us away from others. If we use divisive speech, like, speaking ill of people or talking, badly about them, if that's continuous, that divides. Oh man, did you see her? Can you believe what she did? I was just waiting for a coffee at the coffee shop and she just cut right in front of me. So rude. I can't. Divides. So the more we speak with divisive speech, the more that becomes a habit, and the more that keeps us from genuine connection with each other. Do we use harsh speech? If we speak harshly about others, then pretty soon that's how people will speak about us. And then this becomes our habit because we feel threatened. That person speaking harshly about me, I better counter that by speaking harshly about them. Do you see how we co-create our world? We can choose how we want to do that. We can do it on purpose, but it takes intention and it takes dropping our ego. Let's create a world in which we're kind, in which we build trust with each other by speaking truthfully, by investing in the relationship, by not speaking harshly. The more we use right speech, the more others will trust us. And the more others trust us, the more we'll trust them. That's simple. And then it continues outwards. When we use right speech, we'll never lack for genuine friendships. The more we speak in this way, again from our heart, the more others will learn to trust us, and the more they actually like us. And isn't the world a lot easier when people like us? We can do that on purpose. When we are a person who speaks kindly, then people are naturally drawn to us. I can't tell you how many times, it's not every day, and it's a common thing that I hear when somebody is dying. I'll hear their family say, he never had a harsh word for anyone, or she never spoke ill of anyone, and people loved her for that. It's a quality that we admire in others. So why not ingest that quality ourselves and be that quality? We can do it with intention when we drop our ego and when we really speak on purpose. And finally, a benefit is that we come to have a good reputation. People trust us more and more. And the more people trust us, the more they invest in our relationship with them. The more good we can do in the world with trust. And then the more we can speak up when we need to speak up about something we disagree on. If we've built that baseline of trust, if we've really invested in the relationship, because it is an investment, then the more return we'll get. When we've invested in the relationship, when things get out of whack, we can talk about it. Because we know how. Right speech doesn't mean never talking about things we have conflict over. It simply gives us a guideline for how to do it. So this is what I wanted to talk about today. When you meet a person of the way on the path, do not meet them with words or silence. Tell me, how will you meet them? When we speak, is it the right time? Is it true? Do we speak with kindness and gentleness? Is it beneficial? And do we speak with goodwill? When we continually ask ourselves this, meeting heart to heart, then we can truly make the world a better place, not just for others, but for ourselves. Thank you.